What's going on, everybody? Sour Steampunk here, back again with another video on the channel. And in this video, as you can tell from the title, we're going to be comparing two weapons that are similar yet completely different. Those two weapons being the Dark Lance and the Knight's Edge. So be sure to subscribe if you're new and all that crap. But anyway, let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, first we're going to go over the raw stats, and then we're going to go over their power and which one you should get first, or if you should get both of them. I will give my personal opinion on which is better at the end of the video. I don't want to start World War III, alright? So don't be like, I don't know, just don't spam my comment section with "you're wrong" or something like that when it's just my personal opinion. Alright, so anyway, let's get right into it. Alright, first off, I'm going to explain how to get these weapons. Now, both these weapons are post-Skeletron, meaning that you're going to need to defeat Skeletron before you can get either of these. But first off, about the Dark Lance. The Dark Lance can be found in Underworld Shadow Chests. As you can see, there's one right here, but I don't have a Shadow Key to open it right now. I'm using the Dark Lance at the moment. But basically, you just crack open one of these bad boys. There's a pretty giant chance that you'll get one out of here. I got it out of like my first shadow chest, so yeah, that's pretty good. So you can get the shadow key to open that chest. You can find it in the golden chest in the dungeon once again after Skeletron's been killed. Or if you're lucky and you're on mobile, all you have to do is go up to space and kill a frickin' archwyvern, and then they drop them like 80% of the time. So anyway, yeah, that's how you get that. Now let's move on to how to get the Knight's Edge. Now, crafting the Knight's Edge is arguably much more complex than getting the Dark Lance. In order to make the Knight's Edge, here's the thing, you need 4 different swords. So basically what you're going to want is, first off, the Blade of Grass. Now basically how you get this is you go to the jungle, you need a bunch of stainers, which you can get from killing those little hornets that fly around. Which are pretty easy to get. And you also need jungle spores, which if you see those like green glowing things in the underground jungle, just break them, you'll get a bunch of spores from that, so this shouldn't be too hard to craft. Then you have the fiery greatsword, which basically just go down to the underworld and grab a bunch of hellstone and then make this. But yeah, that's basically all there is to that one. The Muramasa, I have a shameful one, which is kind of upsetting, but basically what you want to do is you want to kill Skeletron, and you want to go down to the dungeon, and you'll find this in the gold chest. Now, this one can vary. I have the Blood Butcherer right here, but you can either have the Blood Butcherer or the Light's Bane. It doesn't matter, as long as it's really no difference. It just depends on whether you have a Crimson or Corruption World. Obviously, you can get either of these right after you kill the Eye of Cthulhu, so these are probably going to be the first ones you're going to get, I'd imagine. So, obviously, the Light's Bane is going to be from the Demonite, whereas the Blood Butcherer is from Crimtane. But once you go through all the trouble and crat to get all 4 of these swords, you can go ahead and run over to your Demon Altar or your Crimson Altar in the Corruption or Crimson, and then you can craft the Knight's Edge. Voila! Okay, how did I get a legendary Knight's Edge on my first reforge? So anyway, the reason I was trying to reforge the Knight's Edge was because when I got the Dark Lance, I had a modifier on it. So I tried to get the Zealous Knight's Edge along with the Dark Lance, because unfortunately I can't control that when you grab a Dark Lance out of the Shadow Chest, it always has some sort of modifier on it. So basically it's kind of unfair, a Keen Dark Lance versus a Legendary Knight's Edge. But I'm just going to go off the numbers here from the base damage. Alright, so I removed all my armor and my damage boosting accessories so we could actually look at realistic numbers over here. So basically, if you have a legendary Knight's Edge without any damage boosting accessories, you can expect a good 48 melee damage, which is actually very, very powerful pre-hard mode. This is actually, I'm pretty sure, the best pre-hard mode sword out of all of them. So this is definitely something that you should go ahead and make if you have the available materials at your fingertips, because let me tell you something, it ain't exactly easy to craft this, but that's why so many people like it. It's because you have to go through pain and torture to get all the swords required to make this, and that is what makes it a really good hard mode sword. Unfortunately, I made the stupid idiot mistake and did not make this in my own playthrough, which probably would have made my wall of flesh fight about 30 times easier, but you know, I'm not too smart. But anyway, the Dark Lance, on the other hand, 27 melee damage. Of course, I only have Keen on it, which only affects the critical strike chance. Now, I'm pretty sure they both have the same base critical strike chance. I mean, obviously, I have a Legendary Knight's Edge, but I'm about 90% sure they both have the same crit strike chance. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that they both have the same base critical strike chance, which is quite interesting. But if you just look at the numbers here, it makes the Knight's Edge look like the obvious winner. Um, but let me tell you something. That of course the Knight's Edge does more damage, and amongst other things, but look, we have to look at this. The Dark Lance has more range, and it hits things way quicker than Knight's Edge does. Doesn't hit through walls, unfortunately. That would be cool, but I guess not. But yeah, if you're down in the underworld, and if you have like, I don't know, if you have like a couple shadow keys on you, I mean, you should at this point in time. Then this is definitely something that you shouldn't just walk by. If you see this in a chest, you pick this up, alright? But yeah, it's still pretty good. Now, we're going to be going over damage. I mean, what are we saying? We all know that the chain knife is the best out of all of them, am I right? Okay, that was a joke. Don't shoot me. Alright, now it's time to move on to applying the weapons to damage tests. Now to do this, we take poor old Plantera over here and we test our weapons. Now let's go ahead and charge in with the Knight's Edge. Keep in mind, these are both pre-hard mode weapons, so I would imagine if they can inflict more than maybe a couple hundred damage a second towards Plantera, I call that really, really freaking good for a pre-hard mode weapon. But anyway, I'm gonna stop getting shot at. Let's actually try this. So Knight's Edge, I am seeing 100s in there already, and we're barely into the fight. We're actually able to do quite a lot of damage to Plantera. Of course, I am getting wrecked because, well, you have to get, in comparison to the Dark Lance, uncomfortably close to things in order to hit them with it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like me a good melee weapon, but getting this close to Plantera is kind of suicide, especially if you have only Chlorophyte armor on. I am wearing Beetle armor right now, and Plantera is still screwing me up, alright? But in the times that I do go in and charge and actually get a few hits off, I am actually doing reasonable and respectable amounts of damage, which is actually quite good. Now let's see if we can maybe finish the job. If we can get Plantera to half health with this, then I'll be pleased. All right, I'm gonna just say that much. Now, I never really recommend doing Plantera melee. This is just for a test. But if you want to use it in Plantera's second stage, where all the little green tentacle thingies come out, then you can go ahead and do that. And oh my god, I am getting Shrek'd right now. Alright, I kind of died right there. But yeah, overall, I was seeing just a couple hundreds in there, and that is actually quite insane. I mean, I do have all my damage boosting accessories on right now, but still, this is a pre-hard mode sword, and if you see 100s coming off of Plantera for a pre-hard mode sword, this is definitely a very good pickup. If you kind of need to craft this, I guess you could say, in pre-hard mode, because once you do, it'll obviously be useful into hard mode. As you can see, these pixies are probably going to be one of the first enemies you encounter and or get killed by in hard mode, and this Knight's Edge is just tearing them a friggin' apart, alright? Now let's go ahead and go back to the jungle and face off Plantera with the Dark Lance. Okay, time for applied test numero dos with the Dark Lance. Now the Dark Lance, in comparison to the Knight's Edge, has remarkably less damage. However, like I said, it can hit multiple times with one strike, unlike the Knight's Edge, which can only hit one. Did Plantera despawn? Alright, Plantera decided to take off on me, so we're gonna try that again. Um, yeah, but anyway, like I was saying, this can hit multiple times with one strike, unlike the Knight's Edge, which can only hit once. It can hit more than that, depending on whether or not you're fighting like a worm, like the Destroyer or the Eater of Worlds or something. But overall, this weapon, I feel much more comfortable using this one against Plantera because I don't have to get as close as I do with the Knight's Edge. On top of that, I can hit Plantera through the blocks sometimes, which is useful because, you basically you can just duck behind blocks. Plantera can't shoot at you, and then you can just use this. But overall, though, this doesn't seem to be doing enough damage to get past Plantera's defense. Whereas with the Knight's Edge, we were seeing like 130 something come off of Plantera. Now we're seeing upwards of only 50. But that's the cost when you're using this. Further range, less damage, but yeah, that's basically what I was saying. So, yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can get Plantera. As you can see, we're getting low damages. Somewhere I saw an 8 come off of Plantera, 1 or 2. Yeah, there's another one. But yeah, we're sometimes getting critical hits of somewhere around 40 or 50, so that's pretty good. I'm actually managing to take a decent chunk out of Plantera's health. Those thorn balls, though, when those start bouncing everywhere, those get a bit crazy, alright? This is why I kind of question myself when I use Plantera for the applied weapons test, because whenever I get Plantera to half, or near half rather, those thorn balls, they just start flying all over the place, and it's just kind of difficult to deal with, I guess you could say. But we're still getting plenty of hits off over here. We're still doing lots of damage, and this weapon, overall, against Plantera, this weapon is doing quite well for a pre-hard mode weapon. Obviously not down to half health yet, but overall, this is doing almost better than the Knight's Edge was doing when I used it against Plantera. I'm sure part of it was the reason was I'm not making contact with Plantera nearly as much as I was with the Knight's Edge, because with as low of range that the Knight's Edge has, because it's a sword, um, I had I had to charge Plantera, and Plantera's contact damage is like freaking insane. All right, you don't want to touch that thing. Um, but yeah, I'm still not doing well because this weapon, it's a pre-hard mode weapon. There's not too many pre-hard mode weapons that you're going to beat Plantera with. The Clockwork Assault Rifle, I guess you can call a pre-hard mode weapon, but it's still kind of a hard mode weapon because you get it from the Wall of Flesh. But yeah, I'm going to take another healing potion here. Let's see if we can get Plantera down to half, maybe. I don't know. I'm actually living quite long over here. Like I said, the longer range is probably one of the reasons why, because the Knight's Edge is a sword, this is a spear, so this is going to have that longer range, so you don't have to get as close to enemies, but you can still hit them a few times and deal a lot of damage. But yeah, Plantera is actually almost down to half, and once she is at half, I'm not going to be living for much longer after that. I'm just going to say that much. I'm already pretty much dead. Come on, can we get her to half? Get her to half, man. Come on. Is it that hard? Man, that was so freaking close. Quit spraying at my dead body. Okay, now it's time for me to talk about utility past hard mode. Now, basically what this means is I'm going to be talking about how useful these weapons can possibly be past hard mode. Starting with the Dark Lance, well, there really isn't much you can use this for after hard mode begins. I mean, sure, you can still pair this up with the Warrior Emblem and the Destroyer Emblem and whatnot, and still be able to do quite decent amounts of damage to enemies, as you saw right there with me and Plantera. But this still is effective decently far into hard mode, but not long enough that I consider it to be a must-have. But with the Knight's Edge, however, this sword continues to be upgradable from its already powerful normal state. You see, once you defeat a mechanical boss, solar eclipses will begin happening. And with those solar eclipses come Swamp Things, Frankensteins, and if you're on PC or console, you'll have Mothrons, which you can kill. And then they drop Broken Hero Swords. Now, basically, with those Broken Hero Swords, you can make the true Knight's Edge, which instead of dealing 76 melee damage like mine does right here, you can have a true Knight's Edge that does well over 100 melee damage, which just greatly improves the Dark Lance by so much. Even though the Dark Lance does hit multiple times, it's just extremely hard to argue with over 100 damage per hit. And on top of that, the True Knight's Edge shoots a projectile, which also adds to its usefulness. And not only that, you can also take the True Knight's Edge, and once you still need to feed Mechanical Wasp. Combine those hallowed bars that you make an Excalibur, get another Broken Hero Sword, you can make a True Excalibur. You can throw your True Knight's Edge and your True Excalibur together, and then you can make yourself the almighty Terrablade. So yeah, that's basically that. The Knight's Edge continues to be upgradable throughout all of hard mode, whereas the Dark Lance, meh. Alright, so here I have drawn an obvious winner. And that winner is, believe it or not, the Knight's Edge. Now, some of you might be wondering, why isn't it the Dark Lance? Because the Dark Lance is all around higher damage per second because it can hit multiple times, and plus the range is longer. Well, yeah, whereas in some situations the Dark Lance might be more useful than the Knight's Edge. Like I said, once you hit hard mode, the Knight's Edge can last on well past Golem, because with this, you can not only craft the true Knight's Edge, you can also craft Terrablade, which is just completely priceless for melee characters. The Terrablade does so much damage for a sword that's almost impossible to say that the Dark Lance is better than the Terrablade. Like, who says that? I mean, I have my Terrablade somewhere. Don't I have it on me right now? I don't have it on me right now. But it does. Like, hang on, I'm gonna go get it real fast. The Terrablade, for me at least, with my boosting accessories, does 166 melee damage. Does that really compete with 43 melee damage? I don't think so, fellas. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be biased here, but overall, hands down, the Knight's Edge is far more useful in terms of upgrading. But if you're just going off which one is better in terms of raw DPS, Knight's Edge or Dark Lance, well, like I said, it always depends. But as far as things go, the Dark Lance is better without modifiers. Of course, if they both don't have modifiers, the Dark Lance will be better, because, well, the Dark Lance, so it basically has, if you look at it like this, the Dark Lance, without any modifiers, has half the damage of the Knight's Edge without any modifiers, and since the Dark Lance can hit multiple times with one swing, I guess you could say, or one stab, however, that means that the DPS, the raw DPS, is going to be higher than that of the Knight's Edge. So if you're going off of which one is better, if modifiers aren't concerned, that would be the Dark Lance. But if you're looking for a sword that's going to last you well into the game, the Knight's Edge is far better than Dark Lance for that. Seriously, once you get well into hard mode, you'll see what I mean. But anyway, that's all there is to this video. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to tell me, and I will definitely keep these coming. And I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.